Hi guys, it's Hrithik again, and today is the second episode of the series, and this one's a little special for me because we're going to be sitting down with Casey Lee, who's one of my mentors, and he's someone I really look up to. So, a little bit about him: he's the CEO of BiteSite, which is a software as a solution company, and he also is a volunteer professor at the University of Ottawa, and that's taking his course in first year is kind of where I first met him. So I have a lot to learn from him, and I hope that you guys can see how much of an inspiration he is.
It's kind of funny being like super formal in front of a group of like 10 people. Yeah, it's cool. Thank you guys for coming, that's awesome.
So today we'll be answering some of your questions. So I guess what we can start off with is like some rapid fire questions. These are just some questions I came up with.
Do they have to be rapid answer?
No, I guess not. It's supposed to be simple answers,
Okay.
one-word answers.
Which is not my forte.
Yeah. And so some of these questions are controversial.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
In at least the software community.
Oh, okay.
So,
That's different. Who did I vote for? Who did I vote for in the federal election?
okay, so the first question is favorite operating system. So Mac, Windows, or Linux.
And I have to answer in one word. I can't explain my reasoning.
Well, no, you can state your option and then you can explain the why. But I'm just saying, if you say one answer, the audience does not like it.
That's what I'm I think I'll have to say Mac OS X. Woo! Sorry, OS 10. Sorry, OS 10 was how it's pronounced.
Yes. Looks like the audience likes
2 or 3 people.
Okay, the next question is Android or iOS?
iOS.
Woo! Do you have a reason for enhancing?
Actually, okay, if I'm going to be 100% fair, I've never really used an Android phone. It's one of those things that when you use it, like if you're an iOS user, I'm sure it's the same for Android users who go to iOS, it's just like everything doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
My wife recently got, not recently, like the last year she's iOS as well, but for work, she got an Android phone, and the frustration she explains to me is just like, this is crazy. Okay, objectively, I think it's nice how iOS controls the operating system wholly, like Apple controls that. I think Android, obviously, one of the biggest issues is that you have so many different flavors of Android, and people do all these different things. I think that is definitely a mess. So
I've seen like a bunch of. I watch MTV a lot on YouTube,
totally.
and there's this one video where he talks about like the ecosystem
Yes.
of Apple, and I think that's one of the biggest like positive factors or the advantages it has over Android.
Right. But it's interesting though, right? Because I use iOS, but I use a lot of Google services. Like I use Gmail, Google Calendar, so. And not to mention like the thing I really hate about iOS basically is just Siri is lacking.
Yeah.
Siri is like way behind.
That actually goes into my next question.
Okay.
For personal assistants, right?
Yes.
Siri, Google Assistant, or Alexa.
Okay, so I own Google Home,
Okay.
Google Assistant. So Siri was like just no question not the way to go. and the only way to get it was like the only way to have a always listening was your phone. I guess you have a Siri, but a HomePod was like $400, which is crazy. I mean, not crazy. I mean, for listening to music, it's amazing, but I mean, for just an assistant, it's super expensive. And so it was kind of between like Google or Amazon. And I've heard that Amazon is quite ahead in terms of integrations than Google is. But I trust Google more as a software company than Amazon. Just as an example, like AWS is sick in terms of like there's so many services and it's really cheap and all that stuff like that. But it is such a mess of an infrastructure. You go in there and you have like 100 services, and you have like massive amounts of documentation. You don't know what is out of date. What's like. I tried to build a secure IoT device using Amazon's IoT thing, and it was just like I can't stand AWS right now. So I trust Google's like philosophies around software development and stuff like that. So I was kind of like, I want to go to Google. Plus, the Google Home Mini was on sale that week. That I decided I was going to get this. So I bought that and I was kind of stuck with it. And at this point, I feel like they're probably pretty equivalent for what I'm using it for, like lights, TV, that kind of stuff. So,
Okay, next question is, what is your favorite programming language?
yes.
And you can definitely say why.
Okay. Okay, strict programming language is tough. Like framework is easier to pick, I think. Like my favorite framework or favorite library, I think is easier to pick. Strict programming language is tough because I think most programming languages are pretty like similar. Yeah. There's like little features here and there that make them one better than the other. Like, there are a couple programming languages that I really don't like, but it's probably more just because I'm not good at them. I've talked to Justin about this, but I loathe Objective-C. It's just really hard to program in Objective-C, in my opinion. For the last 7, or I guess 9 years, I've been programming heavily in Ruby. But that's more because of the framework. Like Rails is an awesome framework. It's not necessarily because Ruby is a particularly good language. But there are aspects of Ruby that I really do like. I do like minimalist languages. And what I mean by that is I like languages that it doesn't take a lot of code to get something going. So, a lot of times, like say even like in Java, like setting up a class is a lot more lines than setting up a class in Ruby. Setting up a variable can be a lot more lines of code in Objective-C than it is in Ruby, these kind of things, right? I totally recognize the advantages when you have like strongly typed stuff and declaring header files and all these kind of things. I'm very much in a space of like rapid prototyping and getting things out fast, and Ruby really lends itself well to that.
And then based on
Framework,
or package.
so absolute favorite right now. So I've come to realize in teaching you and Mark, you guys actually gave me this huge revelation that I think Rails has a lot of problems actually. Rails is like was my favorite framework for a long time, and but I think it has a lot of problems in the sense that it is really hard to learn Rails because there's so much individual disparate pieces, right? Like how you program your controller, how you program your model, how you program your database. They're not like pieces of knowledge that build upon themselves. It's like you have to learn like 300 individual pieces to be a good Rails programmer. A framework that I absolutely love right now that I think is the opposite of that is React. So React, in my opinion, is super good because it blows my mind in the sense that React really comes down to like a handful of principles. Like with React, you talk about state and props, you talk about declarative UI, you talk about components, and just with those like 4 or 5 principles, you can solve an incredible amount. Like we started using React because it was like we wanted to have some kind of sanity around our JavaScript, so we just started sprinkling it in, started testing it. And we don't use Redux, we don't use any kind of like higher level model management, and we've been able to solve so many problems with just vanilla React. It's crazy. So React you can teach somebody probably within a day, and they pretty much know everything they need to know about React. And so like that's amazing, right? It's amazing that like these really strong principles can lead to solving like so and that's why I really like React. Back to the language question though, I think if you guys want to invest time in a language right now, I think investing in one good object-oriented programming language and one good functional programming language is the way to go. So like, the only super popular functional programming language right now is JavaScript, right? I mean, I know there's TypeScript and ActionScript and all those, but JavaScript is like, is super popular right now, and it's found its way to the server, it's found its way into things like React Native and all these things, and Flutter and all this, and it's proliferated through all the web, and it's also a very different way to think when you program functional programming language, and it's just like taking over the world. And it's also influencing other languages. Like I started seeing a lot of stuff in Swift that's very like JavaScript-y, right? So I would invest time and effort in that. But good object-oriented programming languages is also a good place to invest your time. So like whether it be Java, Ruby, C#, whatever, and they're all very close, and the principles definitely translate over time. And I still think there are a ton of jobs out there and a ton that you can do with like straight up object-oriented programming. So, not a one-word answer.
Kind of sad that you didn't mention Python there.
Okay, so Python. so Python, I just ultimately I haven't really dealt with. I tried it once. If you try Python without any formal instruction, it's a very frustrating language because it's white space dependent, and it's just like something's wrong with your tabs. And it's like this is ridiculous. But I actually very much now respect that because it forces everyone to code the same way.
Yeah,
right? It's actually really good, and it is very clean, and there's no brackets, right? It's just indenting, which is really sweet actually. So it's another actually example. Like I find frameworks and languages, the best ones will make you a better programmer by rewarding you with something concrete, right? So I always say that I think coding conventions, established as a group, is actually a very ineffective way to code. So let's say you guys get together as a team, or you're managing a software team or something like that, and you say, well guys, we're going to code this way with these conventions, okay? So we're going to do our if-else blocks like this, we're going to do our for loops like this, we're going to name our variables this way, da-da-da-da, right? If you're literally just laying out conventions without any concrete reward, people are not going to do it, right? Like it's just going to fall apart. Like, yeah, okay, if you pay them more money, maybe they'll do it. It's like every if-else statement that you do properly will give you a $10 bonus. Okay, they'll definitely do it then, right? So, I mean, that's a ridiculous example, but the good languages reward you with things like, say, Python rewards you with the fact that your code can actually run. Right? Like if you don't do it that way, your code doesn't run, and then if you do it the right way, your code does run, right?
Yeah.
Rails does this by rewarding you by coding less. So if you follow Rails conventions, you don't have to put as much code. If you don't follow the conventions, you have to add more code and configure it, right? So I think I really respect that about Python, that it really, like I'm assuming when you read someone else's Python code, you're never like, this is formatted terrible, because they can't, right? Unless it doesn't run, right? So I haven't actually dealt with Python myself. I respect aspects of it, but I don't have a strong opinion about it. So okay. I'm assuming that's your favorite language?
Yeah, definitely. Python, that's my favorite.
How many people's favorite language here is Python?
Thank you. Okay, what about JavaScript or Java? Okay, let's do JavaScript first. Okay, and then Java. Okay, yeah. It's a divided code.